A very good morning to all of you. Hello, listeners. We are here for the interview, question, and hiring process. What kind of process is this? In this topic, we will be discussing about all the 5 interview questions that an interviewer must ask to assess a candidate's ability and understand about the hiring process. What do you mean by we start about knowing about the hiring process? There are many components of the hiring process. First, they need an assessment and position announcement. There should be a position on which a person should be kept in hiring process. It should be there. Application process. There should be an applicant process. There should be a procedure while getting a person into a interview. There should be an interview. That's the most important part. When a person is being selected, there should be a proper interview, there should be their proper selection, negotiating and extending an offer, post-offer activities. There should be a proper activity, what kind of work should be done, proper everything should be there, proper systematic should be given, negotiating in the work, selection of the person, announcement, application process should be in a systematic manner while selecting a person for a job. As a best practice, each of the components need to be operate in harmony and with consistency. Consistency means in a proper manner should be stability over there. There should not be a changes in which the job description and announcement and consistency with the needs assessment. There should be proper description about the job. Do the applicants selected from interview match the job description? The person who has been selected, does it match with the job description or not? Are the interview questions tailored a job being filled? Are the offers and placement for the job posted and the selected candidates are best qualified or not? Or you have chosen a wrong person for a job? Is it happening or not? You should select a good person so that he is a correct person who can give a job description of an interviewer. It should not that you are filling the job and just doing the formalities. No, the person should be justified enough that they can do the job properly. Hiring process. The job interview is a critical component of all the overall hiring process. When the person of paper take life, we will all know that an interview, why you are conducting an interview? Why? To get a good person, a good personality, a good applicant. Is it the whole motive of an interviewer? To answer applicant question about the job and the company. To explain the position of an applicant seeking. To evaluate whether the applicant would work well with the existing team. Do not judge whether they are qualified, but they are well qualified person. Now, what are interviewer problem they are facing? Why interview properly? Why we are taking interview properly? What are the reasons to find the most qualified employee to meet the requirements of an open position? To avoid destroying the at-will relationship. To avoid the host of potential legal liabilities. You should avoid all these things while interviewing the properly. This is a behavior how we should evaluate each and everything so that we can find the most qualified employee to meet the requirements of an open position, avoid destroying at will relationship and host the potential legal liabilities. What are the objectives of an interview? Learn how to avoid spending too much time on extravagant, inappropriate, or simple, unhelpful topics. You should avoid the extra time spent on all these things because it will create a chaos between all the people. There should be a systematic way while interviewing a person. Learn the legal risk involved of hiring unqualified applicant when more qualified applicants are available. When the need is for a pen, if you are taking up the pencil that you have taken is of no use, then you have to go again for purchasing a pen. Same here, if you need a qualified person, then there is no need to take an untrained, unqualified person for the job. Otherwise, first you have taken that person, you will take him out. Again, the interview process will begin. You will be searching for the more qualified person. Again, your extra time is being spent. Learn how to ask probing questions to determine whether an applicant background is appropriate for the job or not. You should ask questions about the person's life and background also. It will give an appropriate answer how the person's personality looks like. Few more learning objectives are: learn how to determine whether an applicant may need an accommodation. It means you should have a smaller needs and questions of that person. Everything should be known to the person because he will be coming and sitting over here. Learn how to uncover potential problematic criminal histories and legal risk associated with that line of questioning. You should avoid each and everything because you need to know every minor thing about that person. Learn what type of question to avoid because they have an heightened risk of creating legal liabilities and creating direct evidence of discrimination. There should be no discrimination, there should be no bias between that person. It should be properly clarified. A person should know about all these things. 5 primary interview questions. This session is designed to provide an insight about 5 interview questions that should be asked every candidate and why those are reduce the risk of legal liabilities. First, unlawful questions should be asked. No inappropriate question should be asked. Every question should have a meaning and should have a proper reason to be asked. It should not be very personal. It should be related to the job that you are getting the person in it. Numerous topics should never be discussed in an interview, and many more can be covered but can be time tricky inquiry. You should take the question that should give an whole information about that person. Second objective, probing question about the candidate's true experience and qualifications should be explored. The truth is always necessary. If you go with a false statement, it will never remain with you. A true statement is always being taken care. It remain always with you. Third, every applicant should be asked whether they fully completely the job applicant asks a supplement and unanswered question too. If whether they are fully completed the job applicant, the previous job applicant, and they are supplementing not a good unanswered question. Always give a complete answer to that person. Fourth, every applicant should be prepared to answer question about any gaps in employment. The true reason for lengthy gaps may be easily explained or could be major red flag. The gap between the other job and another job should be not more, and should, if it is more, why? There should be a proper explanation over there, and if it is smaller one, why it has been smaller. Answer should be given to that person who is taking the interview, because it give a lot of information about the person who is coming into the job. Finally, every applicant should be asked in a lawful manner whether they can perform the essential job duties or not. It should be very much clear to all the person that everything will be done in a lawful manner. Every thing will be given in a proper descriptive manner, but they should remain be and their due limits, and they can perform their all the duties very well. Ask only lawful question. Other questions should not be asked, because lawful questions are important from the legal standpoint to avoid any reduced of risk of a potential claim from discrimination. Ask only lawful question. Race. There is no job related consideration that will justify asking an applicant a question based on race. Every question should be based on their job in which they have came, and related to that questions should be asked to that person sitting for the interview. Ask only lawful question. Is it acceptable or not acceptable? Question should be related to the interview cast, and unacceptable for should not be asked to that person. Ask only lawful questions. They are job related consideration that would justify ask for religion convenient unless your organization is religious institute which may give preference to individual to own religion. If the organization is a common organization, there should be no discrimination between the caste or religion, what kind of person he is. He should be properly qualified person should be there. But if he is going to any kind of religious institute, though it can taken care of. Then again, another unlawful questions related to gender. There is no appropriate question based on the applicant gender. First of all, women are no longer protected in a stage or something like that. They can work with the boys. It should be given a proper justified. No thinking that girls should work less hours, give less money, they should go work home, they should be night duty, they should not do. This kind of thing should not be being used right now. They can go and work at any time if they are pregnant or do any kind, they are having child or some future things also. They can work because they have the more capable and caliber too. Unacceptable क्या होगा? What will be unacceptable? Do not ask Mr., Mrs. or Miss. Marital status, number of children care arrangement. This should not be inappropriate. Ask just simply the name of the person. As to the ability to work should be regulated. What hours can you work? Shifts? Nothing. The work given to the person should be done, whether they take less hour, more hour, or something or the another. Ask only lawful questions. Sexual preferences. Under state, center, state, and municipal law, there should be no prescribable question regarding the applicant or sexual preferences. This kind of question should not be, the differences should not be there. Depend upon the judiciary, acceptable or unacceptable. It depends upon the judiciary. Height or weight restrictions. The question may support gender or national organization discrimination claims unless a relationship to specific job requirement can be demonstrated. In personal characters, you are not allowed to ask difference between eyes, colors, weight. This is not unacceptable. Only things which are related to the job is acceptable. You may not ask any applicant whether he or she was born or his parents were born. You may ask any applicant illegal work for the city or the state. You should not ask any kind of questions about that. These some of the things that are unacceptable, that national origin, parent form, maiden name, native language, these are unacceptable. The things which are acceptable, legally eligible for the job or not, ever worked any kind of institute, inquiry about the language that you will be using over here. These kind of things can be asked, but not all these things about the national, parent, native language. All these kind of questions should not be asked. An interview should not ask for the applicant owns or the rent, home, car, wages previously garnished. These are unprofessional terms if you are asking for a person to do that. You may not ask whether an applicant has a particular disability. But the thing is that he should perform his duty very well. Unacceptable things: job disability, work compensation, medical problem, sick time, medical leave. You should not ask any of this kind of person. The person should explain about all these things to you. Can you perform the duties on the job very well or not? To complete the targets, all the things are acceptable. Rest, the things are not acceptable anywhere. Liability. There should be liability over the other person and organization affiliations. Under liability, number of children, going to babysitting, religion you are, preschool, age children at work, do you have a car? These are unacceptable. The things which are acceptable are what hours of days can you work, specific time, responsibilities that you can share. Unacceptable, what kind of clubs you go, societies you are taking. These are not acceptable while you are going for a job. All the questions should be asked in a very lawful and very prescribed manner. Asking probing question to access qualification. Resume and application can look or sound impressive, but people lie, stretch the truth, misunderstand the job really is. Ask question about the candidate experience and the content of requirement of the position being filled. You should ask the experience, how much experience he has been done while doing in a before job. Why it is important to have a legal standpoint. Potential failure should not be there. Hiring of candidates who is less qualified should not be done. It is difficult to defend causes when they are hired or promoted employees. Why is important for a legal standpoint? Conducting a through beating a job related to qualification will be determined who is the best qualified individual. What is the pros and cons of documentation, the relative merits of candidates' qualification? It is difficult to defend. I just like them better or fit the better can be very difficult. Defense without more or even an actual discrimination should not be there. Is the candidate really qualified or not? The interview should understand the person is the right person for the job or not by checking his personality, reviews, the desk things. Everything should reflect if the person is correct for the job or not. Be sure the applicant is complete. It should be completely filled up. Why have an application if it is not going to be complete? Source of much information was not there with them. Why have the candidates acknowledged the applicant is complete? Failure. There can be a failure of all the information. There should be an acquired defensive or illegal insurance. The applicant is standardized and the candidate's voice. The purpose, objective information about the qualification of applicant, they can readably compared at a later time and be other for the applicant pool qualification and experiences. Why employment gap is important? Employment gap important is a particular important factor that consider the current economic climate. As we exist the greater recession, especially in difficult and important to evaluate whether gap is in employment suggested and otherwise capable employing a economic tide or bad employee, all these things, period of time, spite of economic condition, all this should be taken care of. Ask about such gaps will often lead to a free disclosure and important information. Firing of punching my boss, everything should be taken care of. I have some medical issues and I had to be off work. Be careful. Do not follow up and ask what is wrong. Can he perform the essential duties? We talked about this before. Limited extent, inquiries, physical limitation, everything should be properly cleared while getting a job. It is sometimes problematic to determine whether someone can perform the duties beforehand. Purely poorly getting interviewed, it will not be getting ensured. The interview should be properly clear so that this kind of miscommunication is not done. What about TMI? Too much information is also very bad. It can discourage the person. He will be thinking that he is very that kind of person who take out lot of time for the getting of the information. He will not be work with us. Practical tips: prepare and update job description. Clear communication should be there for job applicant and also for the interview. Job insurance should be there. Train interview of following tips. Find the most qualified employees possible during that interview. Thank you for all the listenings, for the interviewing, how all these points should be taken care while going for an hiring process. Thank you to you all.